Should the Brooklyn Nets trade Kyrie Irving? Irving's refusal to comply with New York's vaccine mandate has put the title favorite in a tough position. The Brooklyn Nets are the favorites to win the 2021-2022 NBA title according to DraftKings Sportsbook, clocking in at plus 205. The Los Angeles Lakers, dubbed second best at the moment, are plus 400. That shows you how highly those around the league view the Nets, and rightfully so. With a superstar trio of Kevin Durant, James Harden and Kyrie Irving headlining a stacked roster, there's no reason to think anyone else can win when the Nets are healthy. Irving has thrown the thinking for a loop as the season approaches. He's not vaccinated against COVID-19 and is therefore not in compliance with New York City's vaccine mandate. Until he complies with the mandate, Irving cannot play home games or games in San Francisco and Los Angeles, as those cities also have vaccine mandates. The city gave the Nets an exemption to allow Irving to work with the team by saying Brooklyn's practice facility can qualify as a private building. The Nets refused to allow Irving to participate as a part-time player and, according to Shams Charania, has withdrew a $186 million contract extension for the star guard. There's no indication of Irving getting the vaccine. There's no indication of the Nets changing their stance on his level of participation. There's no indication of New York City, or other municipalities, changing or removing the vaccine mandate. The idea of there suddenly being a material change in the situation is far-fetched. Irving said he does not plan to retire. He will forfeit salary for every game he misses, although the Nets do plan on compensating him to a certain extent. Of course, this is a small price for Irving to pay if he believes in his decision. The real cost is being borne by his teammates and the organization. Every day, Durant, Harden and others are being forced to address Irving's absence from the team. Once the games begin, the Nets will be missing his production and role in the rotation. Trading Irving seems to be a logical option, given his massive salary figure, which is currently of no use to the Nets. This approach is also tricky. If Irving is traded due largely to the situation he created by not being vaccinated, the NBA Players Union will throw a major tantrum. Durant and Irving teamed up together to build the Nets into a contender. Sending the guard packing will certainly negatively impact Durant's mood. But at some point, the Nets have to make a decision. They're good enough to win a title without Irving, but they're nearly locks to win with him. Trading the point guard would bring back a significant haul, because Irving is still viewed as one of the top players in the game. There's still plenty of NBA markets where he can play without worrying about his vaccination status costing him games. Whether a trade market for Irving materializes or not is a different story. The Nets are definitely thinking about a trade, even if they're publicly supporting Irving's decision. One thing is certain, Irving's actions show he is primarily looking out for himself. There were signs of this in Cleveland and Boston, but never to this extent. And while looking out for oneself is not inherently bad, it's not a favorable approach in the context of a team sport where everyone else on the team has bought in. The longer Irving stays away from the team, the more this situation will fester. Durant, Harden and the Nets want the focus to be on basketball. Irving's absence has made that goal a pipe dream. More questions will be asked, and they'll be asked to everyone but the player who should have to answer them. This is no longer about the vaccine mandate or personal beliefs. This is about what's best for the Nets on the basketball court going for a championship. Many say the best ability is availability. Let's see if the Nets agree, and seek out a trade for Irving. Los Angeles Lakers, a trade that puts Ben Simmons in the Pacific Division. The Los Angeles Lakers are not in the running to trade for Ben Simmons, who continues an ongoing saga with the Philadelphia 76ers. Simmons is a Clutch Sports client, but despite his ties to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, a trade to LA simply does not work logistically. However, Simmons could still very well come to the Pacific Division and become a player that the Lakers see more than twice a year. We already broke down the one Western Conference contender that the Lakers should hope doesn't trade for Simmons. Today, we break down the division opponent that could make a trade happen. No, the in-division team that we are alluding to is not the Golden State Warriors. There has been some speculation about Simmons ending up in the Bay Area, but the Warriors are probably better off without giving up assets for him. Instead, Simmons could wind up being traded for a player that the Los Angeles Lakers nearly traded for. The team we are alluding to is the Sacramento Kings, and the player that the Los Angeles Lakers nearly traded for is Buddy Hield. Hield alone would not get the job done for Sacramento, who would likely include another promising young asset. Kings get Ben Simmons. 76ers get Buddy Hield. Marvin Bagley III. 2022 pick swap. At this point, Ben Simmons' trade value is at an all-time low for the Philadelphia 76ers, and they are not going to get another star in return for Simmons. However, they can still get some complementary pieces from a team like the Kings, who are never a free agent destination and have to trade for any stars they acquire. The 76ers actually get a pretty good return for Simmons in this deal. Buddy Hield is a great three-point shooter who would help the floor spacing of the 76ers. While he is not a star, he is a great option to play alongside an MVP candidate in Joel Embiid and another overqualified role player in Tobias Harris. Bagley is the potential in this deal. Marvin Bagley's agent put out a statement after the Kings took him out of the rotation, and it is clear that the relationship is coming to an end. While Bagley has not been great thus far in his career, he is still really young, and the Kings are not a team that is known to make the most of young players. Sure, the Philly media is tough, but there would be much lower expectations for the former second overall pick. Bagley helps space the floor, and if it works out, then the 76ers could have a really promising frontcourt of Bagley and Embiid. As far as the Kings are concerned, they would be trading a player that they seemingly almost traded for pretty average rotation players from the Los Angeles Lakers. The Bagley train has left the station, and it makes sense to get value out of him while they can. As mentioned, the Kings are not a free agent destination. The logic for them, that probably would not work out, is that Simmons is a star that can help attract other free agents. For Simmons, a team like Sacramento is perfect, as he would get to put up good numbers with literally zero pressure on a team that is not going to make any sort of noise. It is a perfect trade all around as far as I am concerned, and in an interesting way, the Los Angeles Lakers not trading for Hield could actually lead to Ben Simmons coming in the division. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.